Good morning. Thank you for joining us and for your interest in learning how the Additive Manufacturing Roadmap is supporting the continued development of a robust additive manufacturing ecosystem within the Northeast Ohio region. I'm Bill Kaler, CEO of Team NEO. For those of you who are not familiar with Team NEO, we are a business and economic development nonprofit focused on building a vibrant economy for the Northeast Ohio region. As Jobs Ohio's network partner in Northeast Ohio, we engage companies within a network of economic development and public sector partners to help our economy grow and create prosperity for all residents in the region. Manufacturing remains an essential component of our economy and is projected to grow in greater importance moving forward. Our goal this morning is to help you better understand the important role that additive manufacturing play in helping the Northeast Ohio region become even more competitive and grow in prominence on a global scale. From Team NEO's perspective, increasing technology adoption and encouraging more innovation helps make companies in our market more competitive. If we support technology adoption and innovation effectively within our regional economy, more companies will see the value of becoming part of it. That is why we started this journey to generate the original Additive Manufacturing Roadmap in 2016 with our partners, the Youngstown Business Incubator, Magnet, and America Makes. As part of that exercise, we formed the Additive Manufacturing Cluster to make our region's manufacturers aware of business opportunity available through successful deployment of additive manufacturing capabilities. 5 years later, our region has made significant progress. We are now recognized as a leading market for additive manufacturing capabilities. However, given continued advancements over the years, rapid deployment of this technology throughout the world, and the ever-changing business environment, it is more important that we update the roadmap to guide our region to the next level of additive manufacturing excellence. For more than 5 months, a dedicated roadmap team comprised of regional additive manufacturing thought leaders has worked in partnership with leading area companies, service providers, academic institutions, and incubators to better understand the additive manufacturing related assets in our region. Their objective was to recast our goals for the next 5 years and identify those initiatives that will help our companies and region accelerate manufacturing excellence through increased additive manufacturing adoption. Thanks to all who contributed your time and insights into that process. This roadmap complements other important initiatives within our region. We believe it is critically important that Northeast Ohio manufacturers embrace a common manufacturing strategy that builds upon our region's unique competitive advantages. Material science, design for manufacturing, and manufacturing process excellence are all core capabilities in the Northeast Ohio region that we need to leverage through this roadmap. At this time, I'd like to introduce Glenn Richardson, Managing Director for Advanced Manufacturing and Aerospace at Jobs Ohio, who can give you an idea of how Jobs Ohio is implementing advanced manufacturing strategies from a state level.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Bill, for the introduction, and thank you to those in the audience for attending this important additive manufacturing cluster event. I would also like to thank Jay Ferran and Erica Fitzpatrick for organizing the event and for inviting me to speak this morning. As Bill mentioned, I'm the Managing Director of Advanced Manufacturing and Aerospace for Jobs Ohio. A part of my responsibility is to monitor trends and develop strategies to grow my industry sectors through business expansion and attraction. Our advanced manufacturing strategy is what we call a AAA strategy. Its 3 pillars are advanced manufacturing, advanced materials, additive manufacturing, and automation. Our operating model is based on a network of regional partners like Team NEO, whom we help with funding and also coordinate our economic development activity. My team, which includes Tim Sweeney and Karthik Avad Hanula, work closely with Jay and his team on business development activities, which include both the IIoT cluster as well as the additive manufacturing cluster. So why is additive manufacturing a key strategic pillar for the state of Ohio? Well, I'm probably not telling this audience anything new or that they don't already know, but additive manufacturing continues to be a growth industry with an estimated compound annual growth rate, or CAGR, of 24%. And in 2019, attracted over $1 billion in venture capital investment. I think it's fair to say we've reached an inflection point in this market. In other words, the train's left the station and it's gaining critical speed. As you can see from this next slide, the growth is global, but the USA is a major market with over 50% of the world demand. However, domestic competition is fierce. California, of course, is an innovation hub and is driving a lot of the machine development, and therefore has also a lot of industry out there with demand. But when you look at Texas, you've got University of Texas, El Paso, which just attracted America Make's first satellite location, and the city of Dallas successfully bid for the 2018 Rapid Conference. New York State has a $45 million investment by Buffalo Manufacturing Works, leading to the development of AM facilities and talent. They've also got Ohio-based EWI out there as an operational partner, and Boston area universities have spun out AM unicorns such as Form Labs and Desktop Metal. When you look at the Carolinas, you got the presence of 3D Systems, Orlicon, and major OEMs such as Boeing and BMW and Volvo that have created a strong regional cluster. And the Research Triangle Park has made investments into digital manufacturing companies. So a very strong hub there. Pittsburgh has established an incubator park known as Neighborhood 91. And it's right at their airport with low-cost energy, both electricity and natural gas, along with access to talent coming out of Carnegie Mellon. That, along with logistics and proximity to American Makes, make it formidable. And then there's Minneapolis with headquarters for Stratasys and Photo Labs, Red Eye service bureaus, and considerable med tech AM companies. So while Ohio has an installed base and other assets, the competition is certainly fierce. But what is the opportunity worth, and is it worth fighting for? Well, I think it's clear that it is. Global demand by 2024 will reach nearly $27 billion. US demand will reach around $12 billion. And when you break that down even further, you see that Ohio will have demand in the neighborhood of $600 million at the current growth trajectory. But our goal is really not to just, live off our laurels here and achieve just average growth. Our goal really is to double that growth. So we've got a BHAG, or Big Hairy Audacious goal, to double that growth to $1.2 billion with nearly 6,000 jobs by 2024. So I hope you share that goal with me and can contribute to our success in seeing it come to fruition. But, one of the questions is, do we have the right to compete? And I believe that we do. I think our innovation ecosystem rivals that in any state of the union. We've got America Makes, the Manufacturing USA Innovation Institute for additive manufacturing right here in Youngstown. That's a powerhouse driver. We've got Ohio MEP, which is focused on digital manufacturing and has sponsored a number of initiatives around additive manufacturing. We've got Youngstown Business Incubator, a internationally recognized business incubator focused on additive manufacturing. ASM International, working on material characterization. We've got federal installations and programs that are driving this technology. At NASA Glenn Research Center, we're focused on hypersonics and advanced communications and antenna technologies. Air Force Research Labs has got their low-cost attritable aircraft technology program and also hypersonics. The AM Now program, led by the Army, is focused on, the deployment of additive manufacturing in the supply chain to reduce cost and lead time of parts. And also the Defense Logistics Agency Center in Columbus, Ohio, focused on land and marine supply chain deployment. You couple that with really a plethora of schools, both vocational and colleges and universities, that have additive curriculum, including Lorain Community College, Cleveland State, Case Western, along with Sinclair Community and University of Cincinnati and Ohio State University. I mean, we have the educational resources to really be a leader in workforce development. So from a right to compete perspective, I think our ecosystem demonstrates we have credibility in this market. In addition, we've got a significant and growing manufacturing base. We have over 200 companies in the additive space engaged in development, deployment, service bureau work, and/or workforce development. From a machine manufacturing perspective, we'll rival any other state. We've got GE Additive down in the Cincinnati area. We've got AddUp, Open Additive, M7, Maker Gear, Cincinnati Inc., and X1, all focused on really delivering leading edge technology and machines to the industry. And also from a additive manufacturing cluster perspective, we have the Northeast Regional Cluster that was launched in 2016 with a focus on engagement, which really focuses on education and networking. Also technical support. Some of the examples of where they've brought support forward is good examples, the Advanced Tooling Acceleration Program, that helped over 60 companies integrate additive manufacturing into their tooling process. And they also have mentored 12 startups, providing industry connections and supply chain collaborations, to really helping to be influential in the marketplace through engagement and technical support. And then also on the educational and workforce front, there's been a working group on additive 3D design, and also an internship program that's helped nearly 25 apprentices from the region to get upskilling with regard to additive manufacturing and machine operation. So we have not only the innovation ecosystem, but also the industry base to support it. And we've just recently completed an asset map looking at where our industry strengths are. And this next slide shows, that nearly 50% of the additive companies are located right up in the NEO region. That's probably no surprise. And that's really one of the reasons that the NEO cluster was formed, because of that significant concentration. But you also see that there's another 35% that's concentrated in the southwest and central part of the state, including the DDC, One Columbus, and Ready Cincinnati regions. And the rest of the concentration is in the north or the southeast, or even outside of the state, as we looked at Pittsburgh and Detroit as nearby areas of interest. Why is that significant? Well, as we look to making the state a center of excellence for additive manufacturing, geography and our geographical concentration is going to be important. So our vision, first off, is to have basically establish Ohio as a center of excellence for additive manufacturing, leading in the development and deployment of additive manufacturing technologies, achieving a 10% market share in the additive industry in 3 to 5 years. This is 1.2 billion and 6,000 jobs I mentioned earlier. And in order to do that, we've focused on several initiatives here, and I've tried to summarize them with 4 bullets here. So continue to support the Ohio Additive Cluster NEO region. You all are very important. The work you've done to initiate the first roadmap and now a refresh of that, and to bring industry together through engagement, technical support, and workforce development has been amazing. It's been a great tool for us in economic development for the attraction of companies, and not only that, but for driving adoption of this technology throughout our manufacturing base. We'd like to leverage that success of the regional, the NEO region cluster and expand it to include a chapter in the southwest and central part of the state, picking up another 35% or, a significant majority then of all of our companies, so that we can continue to leverage your success and drive engagement, technical support, and workforce development through that cluster work. In addition, we'd like to establish a collaboration with key organizations to align initiatives and funding sources to grow and maximize Ohio's additive industry impact. And those key organizations are America Makes, Ohio MEP, the additive clusters, certainly the Northeast chapter, as well as hopefully a South Central chapter to be launched here shortly, and Jobs Ohio. So putting those 4 organizations together, along with our regional partners, and advancing the state of play of additive manufacturing, not only within the state, but also having a more national reach, I think is going to be a real opportunity for us to put Ohio on the map. And then, of course, we want to continue to leverage all of that work along with our installed base and the Ohio's innovation ecosystem to attract new manufacturers and service bureaus to the state. Success breeds success. So as we continue to grow, we think that others will want to take part in that growth and be a part of it. And we're going to leverage that and leverage our clusters and our innovation ecosystem to get people to come into the state and set up shop here and help us achieve that objective of 1.2 billion in output by 2024. That'll support over 6,000 jobs. So I hope you'll join me and lock arms in this vision and join the mission to make it happen. And I wish you a very productive day, and think you'll find that the new updated roadmap that the NEO team has put forward, that's going to put forth this morning, will dovetail very nicely with our state strategies and be a real catalyst to making that happen. So enjoy your morning. Thank you for letting me talk with you today, and look forward to meeting you at a meeting soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenn. I'm Kirk Rogers from the Barnes Global Advisors. Today I've been asked to give you a bit of an overview over the global additive manufacturing, what's happening globally in additive manufacturing, and then take it down to a local level and in anticipation of the reveal of our new additive manufacturing roadmap. So if you don't know the Barnes Global Advisors, we are an engineering consulting firm that really works on 3 things. That's advising, training, and media and communications. Right. Our vision is really to accelerate the adoption and the industrialization of additive manufacturing, not just in high-end applications, but all across industry. And so, with that, I'll say that we do that really by working very, very closely with our clients who span really the additive manufacturing industry, from startup companies to Fortune 100s, and from powder makers and raw material makers all the way up to end product consumers, and military and national labs. So, a wide variety of different sort of customers. And so we bring sort of a unique engineering experience to the additive manufacturing industry. And so if we look at what's happening from a materials perspective, I'll say that, back in the 2012, 2013, we heard a lot about 3D printing, mass customization, and a couple of companies went public in the additive manufacturing space. And what's happened since then is the transition from polymer additive manufacturing really being, ruling the roost and going towards production, to metals additive manufacturing being much, much more adopted and much, much more widely used for industrial applications. Okay. And what you see in that time frame is, as people take applications from prototyping and from low volume manufacturing to higher volume manufacturing, that the consumption of materials into additive, both metals and polymers, is up something like 4 or 5 times over that time span from 2015 to 2020, which is fantastic. What that means, because those people are consuming into more production applications, is the spot pricing of metals has come down significantly. You know, there was definitely a little bit of a dip due to COVID shutdowns last year, but this year is back and bigger than ever. And what really the spot pricing of those metals declining brings to industry is opening up an awful lot of more application spaces where you know, something makes a business sense. You can close a business case and use additive instead of a legacy manufacturing method or a sum of legacy manufacturing methods. And so by reducing price by 50, 70, 100% over that time span, was really, really opening up metal additive manufacturing to more folks. Okay. And if we look at that metal additive manufacturing segment, again, this is, you know, globally still thinking, right? And the trends really are moving from really high-end custom aerospace materials and medical grade materials more towards the nickel-based alloys, the aluminums, the stainless steels, the carbon steels that are used in general industry. And so I think that as that transition goes from, say, 2018, where almost everything was really high-end specialty, to 2024, as you'll see here in the graphs, right? You know, I don't want you to look at all the detail, but just the big trends are, you know, going from custom materials to general industry, engineered materials that we're all familiar with in the engineering space and manufacturing space. So that's, you know, carbon steels, stainless steels, copper alloys, and the like. The other really interesting trend that's widening adoption of additive manufacturing is really the new materials that have come out in the last couple of years. And now I'm not talking about a variation on a theme, a new alloy of this or a new something of that. I'm talking about completely new classes of materials. So that's bioprinting. So printing of biologically active materials, sometimes even patient-specific implants. Right? Things like glass and optical fiber, which are very hard to print because of the temperatures and the processes involved, have started to become commercial. The other thing that's really interesting is concrete. So, you know, ceramics, yes. Concrete, not really until the last couple of years. And the transition that concrete printing is bringing is really to low-cost housing, like the picture you see on the right on the screen, right? And those are homes, you know, for the homeless, because the printing of that house takes only a couple of days instead of many weeks in traditional construction, which reduces the labor content and reduces the overall cost of building a house. Or it can really make a very uniquely designed house that's done in CAD instead of, you know, traditional stick built. Okay. Another way we can look at what's happening kind of around the world is, you know, what's with the venture capitalists are doing, what are sort of merger and acquisition sort of activities. So what you see on the screen right now is, you know, a graph that's a little bit old of, you know, that activity in a sum quantity of the number of transactions. If you look, the number of transactions has been pretty consistent over time, maybe not last year, but what I'd like you to see there is that really, or think about really, is $25 billion of M&A and venture capital activity since 2015. That's a really large number. That number is really not only large across the globe, it's large also in North America. And so if you look at the graph here on the left, this is the Kirk version of that. The prior one was from PitchBook, which, you know, looks at all of the Securities and Exchange Commission and all of those sort of financial filings across the world. We look and we track in North America what's happening. And so the graph there that you see is, you know, sort of what's happening in North America. You look, you know, 2015, 2018, onesie-twosie mergers or acquisitions of companies. 2018 was kind of big, but look at 2021, you know, more than 10. It's twice the 2 years previous combined. So it's really, really accelerating in companies picking up an additive business unit to meet a particular need, or additive companies combining with another additive companies to make bigger, stronger additive companies. And so what the result really there is over $5 billion in venture capital and investment in 2021 so far. Right? And we're only halfway through the year. So the big vehicle there has been the special purpose acquisition companies, or SPACs. And so you see a few companies there, but an awful lot of companies have also gone, that started sort of in the 2015, 2016 timeframe, have gone and gone through Series A and now Series B funding and gotten 20, 30, 40, $50 million from investors to build their business, because there's a good business case for additive manufacturing. And there's lots of really neat things coming out in the near future. If we wind that down now to the region, so region, I'm thinking, the tech belt or the former Rust Belt, primarily Northeast Ohio and Southwest PA. Maybe it reaches into the Detroit area if you think of it broader. But, here regionally, Freshmade 3D was recently acquired by X1. Freshmade, if you don't know, is a YBI Youngstown Business Incubator portfolio company, acquired by X1 just a couple of weeks ago. And down in Southern Ohio, KBM is a distribution company that's starting up materials distribution for additive manufacturing. So traditionally in the AM or the 3D printing industry, what you do if you needed to do a build of an aluminum alloy, for example, you'd call up the aluminum producer, ask for a quote. It would take a couple days, then they wouldn't have it on stock. They'd have to make it, so you'd wait 6 or 8 weeks of material. What KBM is doing is having e-commerce website. They having nearly instant quote, even if you call, and shipping within a couple of days, because they have lots of different materials on stock in their warehouse in Cincinnati. The other sort of big thing that you probably know of that's happening near the Pittsburgh airport is Neighborhood 91, which is really the first production campus for additive manufacturing in the world. So Wabtec, Rusal have both long been associated with this activity. And just recently, Cumberland Additive, a Texas-based company, has announced they're going to do a new business venture, a new location in the Pittsburgh region, and they've located that at Neighborhood 91. And so, that's a great boon to the region and for all of the suppliers, not just those that print, but the heat treaters, the HIP providers, the machining providers, the materials providers here regionally can all contribute into that Neighborhood 91 ecosystem. So I think that's fantastic. So, in summary, I think the AM future is bright. Industrial AM is now. Materials becoming less expensive. A couple, new materials, new processes are bringing new use cases to a price point that everybody can access. Many, many more industrial materials are available, and it seems like there's a new printer every day. So as we like to say at the Barnes Global Advisors, the ink is infinite, meaning that you can print with just about anything. And because the future is so bright, I think this is a great time to launch a new additive manufacturing roadmap for Northeast Ohio. And with that, I thank you and have a great day. Next up is Jay Ferran from Team Neo.
Thanks, Kirk. Good morning, everyone. My name is Jay Ferran, and I am Senior Vice President of Industry and Innovation at Team Neo and the facilitator of both the additive manufacturing and smart manufacturing clusters. I would like to spend a few minutes sharing with you why we have chosen this point in time to update the additive manufacturing roadmap, as well as provide you a very top-line summary of the current state of manufacturing in the region. The initial additive manufacturing roadmap was generated in 2016 and led through a collaboration of Team Neo, the Youngstown Business Incubator, Magnet, and America Makes. It's worth noting that roadmap, as well as this updated version, is a commercialization roadmap and not a technology roadmap. A commercialization roadmap specifically examines the assets and capabilities we can leverage to incorporate a new or emerging technology. It produces a vision and goals for technology adoption. It identifies the potential size of the prize for the region, and importantly, lays out the initiatives necessary to meet the goals identified. Since 2016, the roadmap has served our region and our manufacturers well. The roadmap spelled out key opportunities for the region around tooling, materials, R&D, engineering and design, and job growth. Considerable progress has been made as our region is being recognized globally as a leading market for the adoption and integration of AM. Sure, 5 years is a long time, especially in this fast-paced, ever-changing world of manufacturing. However, there is more to updating the roadmap than simply the passage of 5 years' time. Here are a few reasons. First, the COVID-19 pandemic demonstrated the essential nature of manufacturing while also highlighting the unique value and capabilities of additive manufacturing. The attributes of AM were on full display during the pandemic as 3D printing was critical to the development and ramp up in the production of much needed PPE. Understandably, it's a different world today because of COVID, and the same is true for additive manufacturing. Second, we heard earlier from Glenn Richardson of Jobs Ohio how additive manufacturing and advanced materials are Ohio's core strategies in manufacturing going forward. Being aligned to the state's strategies and resources only increases the value that collectively we can bring to our manufacturers and our AM goals. Lastly, timing is everything. Magnet, our region's MEP organization, recently released the Manufacturing Blueprint, a 10-year vision for the Northeast Ohio region's manufacturing community. The blueprint seeks to engage manufacturers around 4 key pillars for growth: talent, transformation, innovation, and leadership. No doubt our roadmap has initiatives that tightly connect with each of the blueprint's 4 pillars. We all know AM is a transformative technology that can lead to greater rates of innovation. To make this possible, more AM talent is required, and clearly the leadership of our manufacturing community is essential to greater rates of adoption. For this updated version of the AM roadmap, the combination of the passage of time, the impact AM demonstrated during the pandemic, our state's focus on AM as a core strategy, and lastly, how additive manufacturing aligns with the manufacturing blueprint vision all make this the right time for this roadmap to be updated. The potential value of additive manufacturing offers our region truly can be evidenced through our manufacturing legacy and composition. Today, manufacturing in Northeast Ohio represents a $46 billion industry and employs more than 243,000 workers across 7,700 plus manufacturing facilities. Of these facilities, more than 95% are comprised of small and medium-sized manufacturers. Given today's global competitive marketplace, we must do more to help engage the small and medium-sized manufacturers on the transformative impact AM could have on their business. Not only is our manufacturing industry sizable, it is also diverse across a wide number of industry segments. This breadth and depth of manufacturing segments provides our region a competitive advantage that we must fully leverage and seek even greater rates of growth. The competitiveness and prosperity of a region is directly tied to the people that bring their talents to the work. We are fortunate in Northeast Ohio to have a deep pool of talented workers that we must continue to train on the emerging technologies to advance job growth and satisfaction. While the additive manufacturing technology has been around for 20 plus years, the roadmap exercise has reinforced that with recent advances in technology and the imperative for greater rates of innovation, we have a unique opportunity to better leverage additive manufacturing for our companies and our Northeast Ohio region. To share with you our roadmap methodology, findings, and recommended initiatives, please let me now turn to my colleague, Jacob Doritsky.
All right, thanks, Jay. Appreciate that. And good morning, everyone. Great to be with you to talk for a few minutes about the Additive Manufacturing Roadmap, how we've thought through the methodology, the impact potential, and how ultimately that's going to lead into initiatives and strategies that the region can undertake to help drive the economy forward in the future. Of note, as you see on the front page here, I want to thank all the participants from this roadmap process. This process brought together business, higher education, workforce partners, as well as economic development groups to have a discussion over the course of 3 to 4 months about the impact potential of additive manufacturing. We know that this is an essential component of how we think about manufacturing here in Northeast Ohio, but we have the potential to do even more with that sector going forward. The conversations that you'll see are incredibly important to driving this forward and thinking about strategy alignment in the ways that we move the needle in Northeast Ohio's economy over the long term. And we do that through a very specific process, a process we call the In7 Roadmap. In7 road mapping is something that's proprietary to Team NEO in Northeast Ohio, and it really tries to do two things at a very high level. One, it tries to take inventory of where we are now. What are our assets? What are our subsectors? What are the components of manufacturing that have the potential to be most influenced? But two, where do we want to go over time? Who are we competing against? What are the global and market factors that are going to influence our ability to grow in this space? And where in 5 to 7 years do we as a region and as a collective group of organizations and businesses want to be as it relates to additive manufacturing? And we get the question as to why are strategies like this so important for Northeast Ohio? And the reality is manufacturing continues to be core and essential to everything we do here in the region. It represents 20% of Northeast Ohio's economy directly and 40 to 50% of everything we do in the region in some way. That can be through the jobs it supports in supply chain or the indirect service jobs, but it's critically important. But one of the reasons it's so important is that it's driven our manufacturing productivity and our regional productivity over time. That means we're seeing increases in gross domestic product, even with job losses that are leading to skyrocketing productivity and keeping our products and processes extremely competitive throughout the globe. Over the past 20 years, we've seen productivity grow by more than 100% alone in manufacturing, in part because of investments in technologies like additive manufacturing. So when we talk about impact, what do we think the potential impact could be for Northeast Ohio's economy? What we did is took some studies that have been done nationally and looked at the potential impact on gross domestic product here in Northeast Ohio. And what we found is that this technology alone over the next 5 years has the potential to shift our growth curve in GDP by $500 million to $1.5 billion. And that's for a very limited subsector of manufacturing that we analyzed. So when we looked at that potential impact, we looked at sectors like medical device manufacturing, transportation equipment, which is things like automotive and aerospace, metals production, plastic and rubber, as well as the construction sector. Those 5 sectors alone and their adjacent supply chains could fuel more than $1.5 billion in net new growth just by the adoption of some of these new additive manufacturing technologies. People use the word game changer a lot. These are the type of technologies that potentially drive those game changers going forward. So what is our vision and what are our goals? Because that's really important through this process, is defining what we want to do and how we're going to accomplish it. Our vision, very specifically, is to create a globally recognized additive manufacturing cluster of companies, service providers, and institutions that drive innovation in the Northeast Ohio region economy by leveraging the region's strong legacy of industrial design, our robust supply chain assets, and our exceptional training resources. And as we get into our initiatives, you'll see that each of those are present in a different way. But the goals, there are 5 of them, are to promote awareness of additive manufacturing benefits and opportunities. A part of adoption for manufacturers is making them aware of what we can do in this space. The second, to drive adoption of additive manufacturing technologies to generate revenue and create jobs that drive further innovation and investment over time. We want to elevate Northeast Ohio as a global leader in the additive manufacturing space. In many ways, we're already recognized as being one of the global leaders. We can even double down on that and have more impact going forward. Talent's going to be essential to everything we do and accomplish in this space. We can cultivate an even more skilled and talented pool of workers to help drive this technology forward. And then finally, how do we think about impact and commercialization and new technologies, and maybe even over time, bringing original equipment manufacturers and OEMs of some of this technology here into Northeast Ohio to help drive the economy forward in even bigger ways. One of the things we try to do in these roadmaps is really to think about our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and the threats to these technologies moving forward. Think of it as a standard SWOT analysis. And what we found is that we have a lot of strengths to build on. Manufacturing legacy, advanced materials expertise, organizations like America Makes and NIST that are here in the region, and the breadth and depth of the service provider community that supports it here. Threats, global competition, lack of organizational buy-in, particularly at the executive level, environmental concerns, and some of the ways that cyber vulnerability is challenging some of these new technologies. But there are opportunities too. Broader talent development, greater design capabilities here in the region, better articulating that ROI proposition and the value proposition for businesses, in trying to accelerate the overall rate of digital transformation. Not to mention, coming out of a pandemic, the reshoring, onshoring, and supply chain opportunities that exist here in Northeast Ohio to take advantage of technologies like these. We've developed a commercialization plan framework and initiatives associated with those. So we talked a lot about the potential impact, but how are we going to get there? Well, one is through this framework that focuses on 4 key critical issues. One is talent. Talent is so key and core to everything we do in economic development and how companies think about investment. How do we think about new technicians, new curriculum, new programs that'll help accelerate additive adoption here in Northeast Ohio and help us be that global leader? Second is applications. We talked about aerospace and automotive and medical devices. Those are all strong application bases here for additive manufacturing. But there's an opportunity to do more, to think about electrification of vehicles, to think about areas of injection molding and other parts of the economy that haven't necessarily seen the influence of additive yet, but could going forward. The third is to think about investment opportunities. Part of what Team NEO does is try to attract new businesses here from outside the region. How do we leverage all this skill, all this capability, and start to think about business attraction opportunities to grow our base of additive companies here? And then finally, promotion. So much of what I've mentioned so far is an issue of helping companies, helping the community understand why these technologies are so important and how it benefits the company's bottom line and ROI over time. We're going to do that through 7 specific initiatives that we're going to talk about in greater depth later today. But those 7 at a very high level are: 1, we're going to start by articulating that business case. If you're a company thinking about additive, what do you need to do to adopt it on your plant floor? The second is, how do we think about our base of 25 colleges and higher education institutions here in Northeast Ohio and build out specific curriculum and programming around that? That gives us a talent competitive advantage to be a leader in the marketplace. Third, aligned with that, how do we grow our R&D capabilities? Research and development is critical. These technologies are progressing at a light speed pace. How do we think about the ability to align with that and invest in new technologies here? The fourth, how do we think about leveraging manufacturing and the manufacturing base of supply chain we have here to have very specific business attraction opportunities? Fifth, we have to map the depth of our service provider community. One of the things that we hear from manufacturers is it can be daunting to try to think about taking these on. That doesn't have to be a journey that companies take on alone. There are a host of service providers here that can help manufacturers take that next step and take that next leap. 6, how do we advance new product innovation within the space? I touched briefly on the electrification issue. We have a strong emerging electric vehicle opportunity here in Northeast Ohio. How do we think about the nature of additive manufacturing is contributing to that growth over time? And then finally, how do we think about all this more collectively? Additive manufacturing doesn't happen in a silo. It happens as a part of a broader smart manufacturing base and smart manufacturing opportunity we have here. In the past, we focused on areas like the industrial Internet of Things, which is going to be equally impactful, if not even more so, in driving the economy forward. How do we think about integrating all of these new technologies and new processes into the way we think collectively as a region about smart manufacturing to help drive the economy forward over the next 5 to 10 years? So thank you for the time this morning. I hope you found this informative. It certainly pushed the way we're thinking about manufacturing and manufacturing competitiveness. You will hear more about these initiatives throughout the morning, but any questions, concerns, or just want to talk more about this, please feel free to reach out. Thanks so much.
Hello again. It's worth noting that the initiatives outlined by Jacob are those our region needs to work on collectively to achieve the vision and goals we have for additive manufacturing. None of these initiatives come with an easily identifiable solution. Instead, the roadmap's purpose is to set our course for the areas where action is needed. I, along with the presenters following me, will be highlighting 3 of the 7 initiatives outlined in the roadmap, notably the value proposition, innovation, and talent. These are the initiatives that the roadmap team deemed the most influential to achieving greater levels of adoption and integration of additive manufacturing in the companies in Northeast Ohio that will lead to greater competitiveness and prosperity outcomes for the region. Let me start with the value proposition or business case. We all know an additive manufacturing machine can represent a sizable investment for any company, particularly for small and medium-sized enterprises. Deciding to make an investment in additive manufacturing comes with both risks and rewards, including cost savings, new designs, innovation, customization, sustainability, new business models, and not to mention having or developing the talent to operate it. Said another way, getting to a sense of the ROI that informs a go, no-go decision. Through collective feedback from manufacturers, a better articulation of the value proposition for additive manufacturing is still needed. Again, this is especially true for small and medium-sized manufacturers who, due to the challenges of their day-to-day business operations, don't always have the time to adequately evaluate the value proposition for AM. With 95% small and medium-sized manufacturers in Northeast Ohio, an effort to bring more clarity to the value proposition will help. To that end, the initiative includes 2 suggested next steps. First, provide greater perspective on the cost equation and value proposition associated with adoption. Second, develop a more comprehensive set of business cases across industry sectors with a variety of companies and/or solution providers. The good news, while there's plenty of content on the cost equation and value proposition in the published world, better and clearer articulation is still needed. By working collaboratively and tuning the message better to the Northeast Ohio manufacturing community, this is achievable. The effort to create better articulation of the cost equation, matched by local use cases, will only strengthen the value proposition. Importantly, more manufacturers and other influencers can be engaged with the value proposition through both the manufacturing blueprint and the smart manufacturing cluster. To share some perspective on how additive manufacturing can impact innovation, Bob Pelletier will share his perspective, followed by Dan Cafaro.
Thanks, Jay. There are several commonly used words associated with additive manufacturing, or AM, but one phrase that is never used is incremental innovation. The more common phrases associated with AM are game-changing, disruptive, breakthrough. Additive manufacturing is frequently mentioned as part of Industry 4.0 as well. AM brings game-changing innovation to the following 4 areas that came to mind. The first is product design and fabrication. There's a term that's been used for decades called design for manufacturing, or DFM. But now additive manufacturing can turn that on its head. It can be manufacturing for the design now. Not limited to conventional machining, fabrication like straight turning and drilling. Additive manufacturing, you can do spiral holes if you wish. So there's lots of design freedom with that. You can do higher complexity without worrying much more about higher cost. You can combine parts with fewer joints. There's weight savings, which is very important for aerospace industry. Near net shape can be attained with less material waste. The next one that comes to mind is speed to market. There's a term used in the development process called fail fast, learn fast. The longer you go in the development process, the harder it is to make changes. So with the speed to market advantage of additive manufacturing, you can get products to market faster. It's cost effective for speed to market, and some low-hanging fruit is rapid tooling and fixturing and development. Frequently, manufacturing engineers hesitate to spend money on expensive tooling and development. Well, they don't have to now because it can be made very cost effectively with additive manufacturing. Customization is another innovative part of additive manufacturing. It doesn't have to be a one-size-fits-all, and it can be very cost-effective for custom products. For example, it can be customized to a patient's anatomy with implants, for example. The last one that comes to mind is supply chain, which is usually not thought of as far as innovation for additive manufacturing, but a term that comes to mind is digital inventory. The beauty of that is you can purchase the exact number of parts that you need. Otherwise, you're typically spending lots of money to purchase extra parts in case there's fallout. Well, with additive manufacturing, if there's fallout, you can print the part the next day. The other part with purchasing is you don't have to have parts at a very remote location with large inventory. So for example, a space station can hold a big room full of parts, but additive manufacturing can make the part that you need from a digital inventory. So with those four things in mind, Northeast Ohio has a rich manufacturing heritage and skilled workforce, and Ohio is poised to grow in additive manufacturing innovation and help companies remain competitive.
My name is Dan Cafaro, and I'm the Chair of Industrial Design at the Cleveland Institute of Art. I'm a design consultant with experience in many different industries and categories, and I also started a company called NCamp, which designs and markets outdoor gear. I was asked to talk about the importance of design for additive manufacturing, or AM. Traditionally, the focus for production design is optimizing for processes that require tooling. Tooling would be subtractive manufacturing as opposed to additive manufacturing. Tooling allows the production of many uniform parts very quickly. Additive manufacturing focuses on the use of 3D printing that yields fewer customized parts. While traditional manufacturing allows us to buy cost-effective products at Target, additive manufacturing allows us to quickly explore variations in design before committing to tooling. It allows us to develop small production runs to test the market, or to develop single or small quantity parts for any industry. But specifically thinking about medical or aerospace applications where the use is very specific and might be a one-off, these are very high value propositions. Design for one is not the same as designing for the other. Additive manufacturing allows you to do things you just can't do with traditional processes. This forces designers and engineers to think differently about what is possible. Alternatively, additive manufacturing usually requires post-production finishing that usually isn't required for traditional manufacturing. The understanding of additive manufacturing is growing rapidly. We've reached a point where you can have a $200 3D printer on your desk, meaning that kids are experimenting with this technology very early. However, many industries still don't approach things in anything different than the traditional manufacturing approaches. In my many years of experience as a designer, I heard, "Can't make that," thousands of times. We quickly need to shift our focus in thinking to what is the best way to make that. It sounds very simple, but there are decades of inertia that make the change very slow in how we think about approaching manufacturing. Training to support additive manufacturing is critical. For at least 25 years, 3D CAD modeling has been an important part of production. For additive manufacturing, all parts come from a CAD file. No CAD file, no part. This means that you need a deep talent pool of people capable of understanding the capabilities and limitations of additive manufacturing, on top of their aptitude with 3D modeling. Something that is promising is that we're seeing programs as early as middle school that focus on additive manufacturing. Also, facilities like ThinkBox at Case Western Reserve enable students to engage with this technology early. However, I can tell you as a practicing designer, it is currently a challenge to find talent with a high level of ability in 3D modeling and the understanding of how to push beyond traditional manufacturing. It's important to find people that understand both traditional and additive manufacturing. At CIA, we understand how dynamic the manufacturing landscape is. For about 25 years, we've emphasized 3D modeling as part of the design process. For about 15 years, we've had on-campus additive manufacturing capabilities, and for almost a decade, we've partnered with Case Western Reserve ThinkBox to expand access to additive manufacturing technology for our students. Finally, we encourage prototyping early and often. And I'm not just referring to prototyping using additive manufacturing. I'm also talking about going into the shop, cutting, shaping, assembling, and refining. We see this not only as part of a robust design process, but also a way to truly understand the properties of materials and what approach best suits the application. We believe we approach training in a progressive way, but we're a small school and more emphasis on training is needed. I'll close with this. I'm a practicing designer who started a company that designs and markets new products. I'm reliant on global manufacturing, but I also feel the pressure to produce new products quickly, to respond to the market. Additive manufacturing allows me to do that. I can make a part the same time that the factory can. We can use the same file to make the same part and evaluate in real time changes that we need to make or how well that part works. I can also build parts with the exact properties that I need that would otherwise require tooling. This allows me to ensure that I have the right product before spending money on tooling. Finally, I can modify one product for the unique needs of one person. Additive manufacturing allows me to speed up, pursue high-value opportunities, and it gives me control. These are all things that I would like to see applied more broadly across our region. Think about it. Faster, high value, and more control. To me, these are the key to having a competitive advantage, both as a manufacturer and as a region economically. Thank you very much for listening to what I have to say on this topic.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Sapusik, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Excellence Training Center here at Youngstown State University. We're very fortunate to have just gone through our grand opening here at Youngstown State, and we have a 54,000 square foot facility, kind of a one-of-a-kind center based on workforce training, education, research, and commercial projects. We're very happy to be a proud sponsor of today's event, and the panel that you'll be hearing has a lot of important information to share in the areas of workforce generation and additive manufacturing. And that's certainly one of the key points here at Youngstown State, is we've developed an expertise and a reputation in the area of additive, and this Excellence Training Center is only going to serve to advance our interests as well as the interests of Northeast Ohio in expanding the workforce in that area. So again, we're very glad to be with you today, proud to be a sponsor and a partner with Team NEO, and we hope you enjoy today's event. Thank you.